for you, I would do anything. Whoa, for you, anything. Go, whatever you need, as long as you're mine. Whatever you want for the rest of your life. Whatever you like, whatever you like. Whatever you need, you're one of a kind. Whatever you want, girl, I'm never to ride. Whatever you like, whatever you like.
Hi guys, welcome back to our channel. So I've been thinking about filming this video for the past 9 months. I've been rehearsing this in my head over and over and over again, just trying to put the pieces together and the words together. Really trying to figure out what would be important and what wouldn't be important to share with you guys. And I feel like at this point, I'm just gonna talk to you as if you're hanging out in my living room and you're my girlfriend or you're a guy friend of mine and we're just here talking. I know you guys can't actually talk back to me, but I'm just gonna pretend that you can, and I'm gonna just sit here and just be as real and raw as I can be with you guys, because I feel like this is what I'm meant for. Like, at times I just think about things so much where I just don't do anything at all and I don't say anything at all, and I really just am over that. Thank you for tuning in today. Just the fact that I have your time right now means everything to me. You don't even know what you're getting yourself into, but just enjoy the ride. If you are driving to work, if you're breastfeeding right now, if you're on your way to school, just put me on Bluetooth, put me on speakerphone or whatever you want. It's gonna be kind of a lengthy video, and the reason why is because I feel like everything that I'm gonna say has its purpose and is very relevant to what I want to explain to you guys, and then it's gonna lead into why I started my line, and then I'm going to talk to you guys more about the launch. And I've struggled with whether I should say this or not, but I just have to say that I'm not here to sell you on anything at whatsoever. This is not like a business move or anything like that. This is just me being really real with you guys. I know you guys can feel energy. You guys can feel when someone's being real with you. You guys can tell through the screen. Because that's what humans do. We can just really tell when someone's being very honest, and I feel like you guys will be able to tell because I'm being just that. So I'm gonna start my story with back when my mom was 15. So when my mom was 15, mind you, this is very relevant, her mom passed away when she was 15 from ovarian cancer, and my mom didn't have family. She didn't have a father in her life. She didn't have anybody, and she lost her best friend. This is as if Elle or Alea lost me, and it was a really traumatic time in her life. And she ended up moving to Montreal, Canada, and didn't have a single soul. She was from women's shelter to women's shelter. She was skin hygiene, self-care was the last thing on her mind. Like, she was in survival mode. She wasn't thinking about, you know, what she looked like at all. She was just surviving. She was devastated from my grandmother's death, who passed away from ovarian cancer. When she found out she had the cancer, she only had a couple months to live and then passed away. And so the only person my mom had at the time was my dad, who was her boyfriend, and met her in Montreal and then started their lives there together. When my mom was 18, she gave birth to me. And you know, a lot of things happen in life, and she ended up leaving a couple years after I was born. My brother was, I want to say he was 1 or 2 years old, and my dad raised us. And so the reason why I say this is because I feel like everything in life is a domino effect. If you have a mother or father or whoever takes care of you does things a certain way, you're more likely to kind of follow their lead and learn from them. And so because I didn't have my mother, and because at that point my dad was raising me, hygiene and those things I would kind of learn from my dad here and there. My dad was working 3 jobs, he was super busy, and so I kind of just like learned things on my own. And then later on in my preteen years, I moved with my mom in Florida, and that's when my acne just got insane. My hormones were crazy. The temperature, the climate was so different because I went from Canada to Florida, and you guys know Florida is so humid, so my skin changed dramatically. And I was also, you know, I started my period for the first time. I was kind of starting to like have all these hormonal changes, and I was so insecure about my skin. Like, when I tell you how insecure I was about it, like sometimes I just want to cry, because I just think about the times when I would literally wear makeup every single day just to hide my acne, or like just the texture of my skin was so dull. I would ask my mom, you know, can you help me with my skin? And so at the time, you know, social media wasn't popular back then. I think that Facebook had just launched. This was like back when I was 15 years old. You know, you couldn't really like search things on the internet. Like, there wasn't, you know, social media influencers, there wasn't people talking about their skin and makeup and all that kind of stuff. So you kind of just like bought whatever was on the radio or whatever was on commercials and stuff. I would try all these products and nothing worked. Like, absolutely nothing worked. It was so bad. I'd cleanse and wash my face a million times a day because I thought that that was gonna make my skin better. My skin never cleared up. I actually wore the worst makeup possible. Instead of wearing foundation, I would wear concealer as a foundation, and to really hide all the blemishes. I was just making my skin worse and worse and worse. And so when I turned 19, I moved to China for a year. My dad was living out there teaching, and I really started to like pay attention to people's skin. And I just loved in China, the most beautiful skin that I've ever seen. These Chinese women would take care of their skin. I realized like, oh, like I can really have good skin if I take care of it. Let me start kind of like diving into this. Let me start taking care of myself. And so that's when I kind of really started my self-care routine in China. And so I came back to the States a year after that, decided to move to Miami. So I moved to Miami. Long story short, I learned how to drive, bought my mom's car, and all I had was a job opportunity. It was a job interview, and I didn't know if I was gonna get it or not. I ended up getting it. Fast forward a little bit, when I was 22, I was living in an apartment and I couldn't live there anymore. And it was very sporadic. It was like, I wasn't very unexpected, and so I started applying for other apartments in the area, and I was kind of freaking out. My whole life was like a disaster. I felt like everything was tumbling down on me. I didn't know what to do. I felt like, okay, well, I can go move back to Tampa where my mom was living, drive 5 hours right now, and then lose all my jobs and start all over, or I can stay in a hotel tonight and then hopefully, you know, someone calls me back and lets me know that I can move into a new apartment and get accepted. I remember this day like it was yesterday. I was in my car and I had all my stuff in my car. I had everything that I owned in my car. Luckily I even had a car. And I'm driving and I'm like, you know what? I'm like, at the end of the day, I have me. I got me. I'm good. Whatever happens, I'm good, right? Like, I can always move back with my mom. That's the last thing I want to do right now. She was going through her own things. I didn't want to intervene. I didn't want to be there. And I really just wanted to move forward. And so I'm driving, and I'm on like Lincoln Road, and I'm driving in Miami, and there's a Starbucks on the corner. I'm sure some of you guys know. It's like a very touristy Starbucks. A lot of tourists go there on Lincoln Road. And so there's this parking lot on the side, and I park my car and I walk inside. And at the time, like, I was never really spending time on my phone, so I brought my laptop in and I was on Facebook, you know, just trying to like find something to do. And I'm just in my mind thinking about a million things, and I felt like I had lost everything. I just felt like I was starting over. And you know, having a place to live is really important. You really feel like you can, I don't know, it's a good feeling just to know that you have a place to go sleep. And I didn't have that day. So I'm sitting there at the Starbucks, and I see this guy come in a wheelchair with another guy, and they go place their order, and then they sit next to me, which I thought was kind of weird because there was so much room that they just happened to sit by me. And so I'm there on my laptop, and they're having a conversation, and I was kind of eavesdropping, but I was kind of like pretending not to be listening, you know. And they go, the guy on in the wheelchair looks at me, and he goes, "Do you believe in fate?" And I looked over at him, and I'm like, yeah, I think so. I believe in fate. And he just starts talking to me about, you know, different things. And I got really into the conversation because I just felt like someone maybe to just talk to, you know, at that point. And he goes, "Can you stand up, please?" And I stood up, and he goes, "Oh, He goes, I knew it, you have wings on your back. He's like, your grandmother is with you. She's always with you. She's on your back right now. She's always on your back. And so that was the first experience that I've ever really heard from my grandmother, and I thought that that was so interesting to me because I had been thinking about my grandmother almost every day since I can remember. So I was always really connected to her, and I didn't know why. And so I'm like, okay, oh my God, thank you so much. And you know, he just seems so magical, so I'm like, well, let me ask him some questions. And so I said, the first question I asked him was like, I just gotta ask, can you tell me, should I move to LA or not? I'm really thinking about moving to LA, and do you think I should move? And he said, yes, I think that you should definitely move. I think that you have a lot of opportunity. Just definitely, whatever your heart is telling you, just do it. And so that day I left with such a sense of like a sense of, you know, clarity almost. Like I was just like, you know, I can do this. Like whatever I want to do, whatever I put my mind to, I can do it. So sure enough, I sat at a hotel that night. The next day I got a phone call, got approved for an apartment. I was able to move right away, and you know, just kept going with my life. And that's kind of where I started my spirituality. So a lot of people ask me, why are you so spiritual? What made you start? So that's where it started. So around age 22, 23, that's where it started. And to be honest with you, I really started to pray to my grandmother. When anything good would go well or wrong, I would pray to her. I felt like she was protecting me throughout everything. I mean, I've been in really bad situations where I could have died, and I swear to God that she was there to save me and protect me. Fast forward a year, I moved to LA, and my friend has an appointment at a dermatologist. And this was my first time ever going to a dermatologist. I wanted to go to a dermatologist earlier in my life, but I just never wanted to ask my mom because I just felt like my mom didn't have the money, and I just felt like, who am I to go to a dermatologist? Like, if anything, what if I go and then my skin's even worse? Like, I just never thought to go to one. So that was my first time ever walking into a dermatologist's office. Towards the end of the whole meet, I asked the dermatologist, and I said, can you please tell me why my skin looks like this? Why is it that I feel like my skin is good, but it just looks really dull? This is the first time where I don't have acne or anything, but I just feel like my skin just doesn't look good. And so he looks at me and he goes, well, are you wearing moisturizer? And I said, no, isn't that supposed to make your skin more oily? And he starts laughing. And then he goes, are you wearing toner? And I go, no, isn't that supposed to make your skin dry? He starts laughing. And then he goes, are you wearing oil at night? Are you wearing vitamin C? Are you doing masks? Are you doing anything like that? And I said, no. What I do is I cleanse my face many times during the day to dry it out so that I won't get the acne. And I wash my face with really hot water because in my mind I thought that by washing your face with hot water that would kill the germs. Totally wrong. And I also told him that I would pick my face every single night to get rid of all my pores and all my acne, and then in the morning I thought that it would look better, but in reality what I was doing is I was causing a lot of pigmentation in my skin, and it was making my skin really red, and I was irritating it. And so that day I left and went to Sephora and bought myself everything that I needed, went home, did so much research on skin, and just got so infatuated and so amazed at how much my skin could improve if I actually, you know, did the right things. And so I started doing everything, and I swear to God, in 2 weeks, in that short period of time, my skin changed dramatically. For the first time in my life, I felt confident, I felt better about myself, and I didn't feel like I had to wear makeup. And so I got really into skin. Later on that year, at age 25, I got pregnant with my daughter Elle, and I really started my self-care even more. I started really taking care of myself and just, you know, just really taking care of my skin, and my hormones were changing so much because I was pregnant, and so I really had a passion and found a really new love almost for taking care of myself. I always told myself, I'm like, in the future, whatever it is that I do with my life, I mean at that point I was already 25, but I said, in the future, I want to do something that is in the healing self-care world. Like, I want to do something that really just brings me fulfillment and makes me feel good about myself and makes other people feel good about themselves. And so it was just like an idea, right? I obviously thought of maybe creating a skincare line in the future, but I was like, who am I to create a skincare line? Like, that sounds like, you know, that sounds impossible. Like, I could never do that. Like, that sounds crazy. I would never do that. Life went on, and we started our YouTube channel. You know, I just remember in the beginning just being seen by millions of people and just thinking to myself, like, wow, I really have to take care of my skin now. Like, I really have to take care of myself. I need to look presentable. You know, I just always felt like having people right in your face was just so, it was just such a surreal thing. And like, you really have to, then people are really paying attention to you and paying attention to how you look and all that. I really got into taking care of myself even more. And so when I was pregnant with Alea, at that point, I was getting more acne again, and I don't know if you guys noticed, but I'm sure you guys have, you know, from the breastfeeding and all that, your hormones change dramatically. And so that year, I really started to dive into the skincare, and I was like, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do it. I don't care what anyone thinks. I started research and development. I started looking into how I can make a team, how I can make this happen, because at that point I felt like, oh my God, I am under a microscope. I mean, anything that I do right now has such a huge responsibility on me, because I have millions of people that can see this and try it if they wanted to. And it was just so nerve-wracking to me, and I just felt like, oh my God, I need to make this a good product. Like, I really need to spend my time, and I don't care if it's gonna take me years. I'm gonna do it, and I'm gonna live and breathe this, and I'm gonna try every product on the market, everything that people are raving about, liking. I'm gonna try it, and I'm gonna see why people like it, and I'm gonna learn, and I'm gonna just do what it takes to make something that's just gonna be really just, it's gonna bring me passion, it's gonna bring me fulfillment, it's gonna make me want to work harder, something that really makes people happy. And I went through several scientists, and I'm not a naive person, but every single person that I went through, I really thought that they were the one. And you know, it just didn't end up working out. You know, I just kept trying to find somebody who could really get it, who understood that I wanted natural ingredients. I don't want fragrance. I want to use certain ingredients that I love, that I'm passionate about, like aloe vera. I have an aloe vera plant at my house that I use all the time, and I felt like, okay, I have to have that ingredient. Little things like that, you know, that I wanted to make sure that really represented me. So yeah, I started research and development. I started working with scientists. At that point, I didn't even have a name for my skincare line. And to be honest with you, I didn't have a name for 1 year. So I was working on this for a year and didn't even have a name. And I always told myself, the name isn't gonna come to me organically. It's just gonna come to me. But one thing that I knew that I for sure wanted was, I didn't want the name to be my name. I want the skincare line to live beyond me. I really started to like just tap in more with my grandmother, and I actually met a medium really earlier on in my pregnancy. And I know a lot of people, you know, don't agree or don't believe in, you know, spirituality or mediums or just things like that, and I was just very open to it. And so I met with a medium, and my grandmother didn't come through as I expected, and it kind of like put me down a little bit. And I was trying to think of the bright side, and I was like, you know what, maybe I wasn't ready for her to come through, or maybe she didn't want to come through because there was cameras around, or maybe, you know, maybe I just wasn't ready. And so, you know, in this time I'm really working hard on my skincare line. I'm working hard, you know, doing other things that Austin and I were doing. We were really, you know, doing YouTube every day, every other day. This was like a time where I was super busy. And so time went on. So this is 2018, and my mother-in-law got me a facial to her facialist. And so she got me a gift certificate, and I didn't go that year. I was super busy, and I just felt like, oh, you know what, I don't want anyone messing with my skin right now. I'm on camera all the time. You know, I don't want to trust anyone with my skin right now. So I didn't go. So the next year, I got the same gift certificate to the same facialist from Grandma, who's my mother-in-law's mom. And they discovered between them two that I actually never went to the first appointment. And so they were like, you have to go, Catherine, you have to go this year. I was gonna go, and I actually, it's funny because I had an appointment, I had a meeting in the same city one day, and then the next day I had the appointment to the facialist in the same city, and it was like an hour away. So in my head, I'm like, you know, I'm probably gonna end up canceling on the facial and just letting her keep the money and just paying for that in the future and just going in the future, because I felt really bad, but I just didn't want to go to the city 2 times in a row. I had 2 babies, you know, I didn't want to spend that much time away from them, and I just felt like the meeting was a little more important, and so I wasn't gonna go. But for whatever reason, the day that I was going to the meeting, the 101, the freeway just stopped, like just randomly stopped, and we didn't move for like an hour, and we ended up missing the meeting. And so I had the meeting the next day right before the facial, so it just ended up working out that I was there for both things. And so I'll tell you why that's so relevant. So I go to this facial, right? I walk in, I lay down, and she's starting my facial, and I just felt very good vibes, you know. I have very good vibes, I'm relaxing, you know, I'm getting a facial. And the woman goes, and I'm gonna keep her name private, just, you know, just for her privacy, and I'm also, just so you guys know, I'm keeping people's names and stuff private for that reason. But she looks over at me and she goes, she's doing my facial, and she goes, you know, when you walked in I wanted to cry. And I go, why? I go, tell me, I'm an open book. And she goes, well, she goes, you have a grandmother. And instantly my heart dropped, and I knew exactly what she was talking about. And she goes, well, because she's right there. She's standing right there. She's right at your feet. And I was in a cold room, and I swear to God, I felt my feet get warm. And she goes, and I go, oh my God, I'm like, what is she saying? And she goes, she wants me to tell you that she is very proud of you, and that she has been part of your abundance, and that she is with you every step of the way. She wants me to tell you that in a past life, you were her daughter and your mother was your sister. And I thought that was so funny, because I've always felt like my mom was my sister, and I always felt like my grandmother was my mother. And then she said she wants me to tell you that she brought you and Austin together, and that she wants to give you a gift. And at the time I was like, what is that gift? Like, and I didn't want to ask, you know. I was like, oh my God, thank you so much. And you know, it was a very heartfelt moment, and it was just so real, and it just felt so good to hear from her, because I swear I've been thinking about this woman every day, all the time. I just think about her all the time. When I'm driving, I feel her sitting next to me, you know, I always feel her with me. And so I was like, okay, cool. I'm like, this is real, this is good. Like I feel the energy, I feel good. And I got a sense of like, okay, I'm gonna push hard, and I'm gonna stay strong, and I'm gonna do the skincare line, and I'm gonna do what fulfills. Before I left, she gave me a Reiki. So at the time I didn't know what a Reiki was. She gave me this Reiki, and this is gonna sound crazy, but for 2 to 3 weeks after that day, I was purging, and I was getting rid of all the toxins in my body from that. I had black liquid stool for literally 3 weeks. I felt like I was gonna die. I wasn't sick, I wasn't ill, but I just felt like every time I used the bathroom, I'm like, why is this coming out of me? Like, what's going on with me? Really scary, I didn't understand it. And so I call her. I'm like, this is going on? And she goes, oh my God. She goes, yes, it's happening. She's like, you're detoxing. You have a lot of eyes on you, especially for me. It's like, I have a lot of eyes on me in what I do. And so, you know, a lot of evil eye, you could say, too. And so I was really detoxing and getting rid of all those negative toxins and energies, and so I felt it, and I felt good. And so I was like, oh my God, that's so interesting, thank you so much. And I was like, by the way, when can we do the next facial? Because at that point I was like loving the facial. I love what she did, and I was just really excited to just be in her presence. She's an amazing woman. She goes, okay, well, the atonement is telling me to do your facial on 12/12 Gateway. And so I'm like, okay. I'm like, whatever that means, sign me up. I'm good, let's go, let's do it. Okay, whatever that day, I'm there. So she goes, okay, cool. So she sets up the date. I get off the phone, and I'm walking around the house, and I'm like, 12/12 Gateway. 12/12 Gateway. Interesting, 12/12 Gateway. And so I look it up really quick, and it says that 12/12 Gateway starts in November and ends in January. So it's a period, and it's a portal in time where you're supposed to really allow new things and new beginnings. And it's just like an amazing time of the year, and I'd love to explain that and share with you guys later, but that's kind of what it means. I went to bed that night, and I'm laying down, and I'm like sleeping, but I'm not in my REM stage yet, so I'm kind of like half asleep thinking about things, and I kept thinking 12/12 Gateway. And so I went to sleep that night, and I wake up in the morning, So come to find out, in my sleep, I went on GoDaddy.com, typed in 1212gateway.com, and bought it, and bought the domain. And I only knew that because when I woke up in the morning, the first thing I do is check my emails, and I got a confirmation saying that I bought 1212gateway.com for $12.12. And so I was like, okay, cool, like I wonder what that means, right? And so I went about my day. I don't know where I was. I must have been taking a shower or something. And I'm like, oh my god, I got married on 12/12. And the reason why I didn't put two and two together is because when we got married in our backyard. And we just kind of like did it just to get it done, and to do it ourselves, and just kind of to make it official. And it was more for us, you know, me and Austin. No one was really there, you know, my parents weren't there, his parents weren't there. It was just to kind of do it. And that day wasn't very significant to me at the time, because I felt like the ceremony would be more significant, you know. And the reason why we got married at 12/12 was because that was the day that the pastor could be there. We were supposed to do it on 12/10, but we did it on that day. And so I'm like, okay, cool, so we got married on 12/12. So things, you know, things start to unfold, and then I realized, I'm like, oh my god, because I'm so into numbers. I'm such a numbers person, and I believe that numbers mean a lot. And so I was like, oh my god, 12/12, there's 24 hours of the day, and I wanted a skincare line to really represent like 24 hours of the day. And 24 means a lot to me. My birthday is on August 24th, my dad is November 24th, and my mom's April 24th. And so that's always been my number for everything in life. I mean, when I go gambling or whatever, I use 24. So I'm like, yeah, 24 is my number. One thing about starting companies is it's really hard to find a name, because one, the domain's taken, and then all the socials are taken. And for whatever reason, the socials were all there and everything was there. And so then I'm like, okay, this is crazy, right? And so I had a name for my my line. Then that year I got pregnant with Steele, and then that's really when I started to finish everything as far as like the look of how I wanted it to look, what I wanted to represent. So one thing that you guys know about me is I love the moon. I'm so connected to the moon. I'm connected to the galaxy. I'm connected to water elements, especially when I was pregnant with Steele. And so I really wanted that to have that look and that appearance in my brand. And so my brand is very connected to the moon, the phases of the moon, the different times of the year. 12/12 Gateway is a time of the year, and it's interesting because 12/12 Gateway just started this week, and so we're currently filming in that time. So during this past year, I really finished everything. My scientist is amazing. She's the most amazing chemist. Her name is Hardeep, and she has formulated and helped me throughout in the entire thing. She's a huge inspiration to me. She's from Kenya, and you guys are going to meet her, and I'm so excited for you guys to meet her. We've created 5 different products. So those are the 5 products that I'm launching. I'm doing a cleanser, I'm doing an eye cream, a moisturizer, a lip balm, and a body oil. The body oil I actually used throughout my entire pregnancy with Steele. I love it so much. I love using it on my neck, my chest. My cleanser is amazing. It's a foaming cleanser. It's so smooth. So, oh my god, I can't wait for you guys to try everything. Like I said, I'm not here to sell you, but I'm just so proud of everything I've created. Like every time I talk about it, I get so excited. If you know me, my family, my friends, everyone knows I've been talking about this for years. Like if you spend the night at my house, like I'm doing your facial. Like I'm taking care of your skin. When my dad was here last year, or my mom was here, I'm just like taking care of them, you know. Like I just love skin. I just love it so much. I'm not one of those people that spends like a lot of time on the internet watching people do like skincare routines or stuff like that. I just really genuinely wanted to create something that I loved, you know. I don't want all this other stuff in my head. I just really wanted to create something that I love and that I know you guys would love. Like I said, like on my launch date, if I just sell one thing, like I'll be so happy. So one thing I do want to say is, what's crazy is my line has the word gateway in it, and so this is really a gateway because I'm sharing so much more with you guys. I mean, this is just really the opportunity for me to just dive into things that really mean a lot to me. So my tagline is let your soul glow, and yeah, I'm just so excited to share all of this with you guys. After I met with this lady who did my facial and I started really diving into myself, I ended up really looking into getting Reikis and really started to be more in tune with myself. And so I got a Reiki by a woman, and she said that in a past life, Mind you, she didn't know anything about me. But after the Reiki, she said in a past life, I started this and never finished it. And so I thought that was interesting, because I've always felt like, you know, I did start this and I did do this at one point, but I never finished it, and I'm finishing it in this lifetime. And she said that in a past life I was also a healer, and so I would heal people and I would help people, and so that's always how I felt, you know, with my friends and my family. I'm always giving advice, and I always want to help. Another crazy thing that I wanted to share with you is so this is so crazy, but this was just last week, on November 10th. I was like sitting in the kitchen, and I was with my mother-in-law, and I was looking for a photo, and I came across a photo of my grandmother when she was getting married. It was her in a veil, and I'll put the picture right here. So I came across the photo and I shared it with her, and she was like, oh, she was so beautiful, and we're just talking. And I thought to myself in my head, I'm like, I wonder what day she got married. And so 2 days later, which was November 12th, I wake up that morning and I sent the photo to my mom, and I'll put the conversation right over here. So I go, when did she get married? What date did she get married? And she goes, and I gotta love my mom, because she, not that she's like a super oblivious person, but she doesn't really put two and two together. She's so funny. Like, I'll talk about things and she'll say something like, Mom, why didn't you tell me? I asked her then, she goes, oh yeah, she got married on December 12th, 1968. And I'm like, Mom, I'm thinking in my head, I'm like, dude, I've been talking about this, working on this for years. You know the whole backstory. You know how much this means to me, and you want to just tell me now that my grandmother got married on the same day that I got married? What's crazy is when I sent the text, I was like, imagine if it was on the same day. You know, like when you think of something but you don't really think about it and you just kind of do it. And I just thought to myself, like, there was like a 0.00009% that would be on the same day, and it was. And I just thought that was so funny. But she was like, yeah, you guys are really connected, and we are very, very connected. And I just thought that was so funny. Yeah, that's the story. I just wanted to share that with you guys. Every little aspect of my company is really me. Every little thing, from the creative to how the bottles look, to the ingredients in the bottles, to every little thing. And one of the biggest parts, hardest parts about this was creating a team. Creating a team was so difficult because, you know, like, first of all, I don't trust anyone these days, you know, and it's hard to create teams because that's really what scales you in a business. And so just having so many eyes on me and so many people, and just, it has been really difficult. To be honest, that was the most difficult part, was creating a team. You know, for me, the biggest thing is customer service, fulfillment centers. I mean, packaging, all that kind of stuff was so important to me. So that's why it took me so long just to make sure that I had the perfect team. I've been hinting you guys for the past couple of years that I'm working on something. And it's just so surreal because I've been using my products for so long, and I'm like, not that I'm bored of them, but I'm just like, I'm so excited for you guys to see Q2 and Q3. But yeah, I'm so excited for everything. Like I said, I'm so excited for you guys to meet my scientists. For me, it's really important for you guys to know that I didn't actually create my products because I'm not a scientist. I mean, if I would have gone to college, I would have so went to be a dermatologist, but that just wasn't in the books for me. And you know, I ended up doing this in a different way. I'm so excited for you guys to try the products, to use them. No fragrance free, just very natural, everything. And I'm gonna get into that later on. I feel like that's too much for this video, but I will get into that. I just want to say that the campaign video is launching the first week of December. My launch date is on December 12th at 12:12 Pacific time, so mark that in your calendars. I'm super excited for you guys to see what I'm working on after that, but you guys are gonna have to try what I have now. You guys are gonna love it. And oh my god, again, I don't want to feel like I'm selling you guys, because that's not like what I want. Like I said, if I just have one sale, I'll be so happy. Like, I have invested everything into this and I really don't care. I'm like, I'm fine if I just get one sale. Like, as long as the one person that buys it, you love it, I'm happy. I really have no expectations for this. Like, I have no expectations. I just want to just be fulfilled. I want to work towards something that brings me happiness. I want to be creative towards it. I really want 1212 Gateway to fund all these amazing projects that I have in store. Like, I want to do beautiful seminars with like meditation centers. I want to do like sound baths. I want people to be in tune with their spirituality, with themselves, Like, that is the goal. Like, that's what brings me fulfillment in life. Really ask yourself, like, what makes you happy? What makes you wake up in the morning? For me, what gives me purpose is my family, my children, my husband. And what brings me purpose is just creating something that heals, you know? And that is why I did this. I've been talking to you guys for a long time now, but I feel like that's all really that I wanted to share for this video. And I'm so excited. I know you guys can tell, you guys can feel my energy right now because I'm really that excited. Every time someone talks to me about this, I just grab their attention. I'm like, oh my god, like, can we talk? Because this is just so exciting to me. Thank you so much for watching. I appreciate your time more than you will ever know. So thank you so much for that. I'm so excited to finally have shared this with you guys. I feel like I can breathe again. I don't feel like I'm gonna throw up anymore. I feel like at least I got that out there. So thank you so much for that. You guys can go on 1212gateway.com to put in your email so that you get all the information or any kind of new things that are coming up. You can get that in your emails, and then as well follow us on Instagram, which is 1212gateway. I can't believe I'm actually saying that now. It sounds so surreal and so real. I just can't wait to just dive into this world. I mean, I've been in the world, but now to be in it publicly is just, I don't even know what to say. Like, it does not sound real at this point. I almost felt like for a while I was like, you know what, I'm just gonna do this as my hobby. I'm not gonna share it with anyone. I'm just gonna keep it to myself. I'm gonna use my own products. No one's ever gonna know. But then, you know, I was like, you know what, no, this is definitely happening in this lifetime for a reason. I'm definitely do this for a reason. So thank you so much for listening. I love you guys, and I will see you guys in the next video. See you soon.
We love you guys.
We love you guys.
We love you guys.
Thank you for watching.
Thank you for watching.
Thank you for watching.
We'll be back with more videos. Say bye-bye.
Bye-bye.